All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Art and Chat. I'm really excited for everyone on this episode, especially. So, welcome everyone to Art and Chat. I'm Teresa Melvin. I'm a teen artist and the creator of Ava and Ramona verse. And the Art and Chat is a YouTube live series where I get to create art, I get to laugh, and I get to dig deep with many inspiring artists from around the world. And today's guest is extra special because he's not just an incredible artist, but he's also been my mentor and he guided me into the art world when I was like just 12. So, let's give it up for Ashwin Chacko, aka Whacko Chacko.
Well, thank
Hello.
you so much for having me, and thanks for that brilliant intro.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited to have you on here. I love your artworks as well. Especially your, art style. Very colorful, and you have the positively playful art style, how you describe it. So I'm really excited to dive deep into, your brand collaborations because you've collaborated with like amazing brands like Coca-Cola, Rockshore. And yeah, I'm really excited to see your how you draw digital artwork as well. So we'll dive into your art journey, your brand collaborations, your experiences as a book illustrator, and you're also like a motivational speaker as well. So I'm really excited to talk about that too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, for people new to Art and Chat, we're going to be drawing art live, and we're going to merge those two artworks together. And I'll reveal at the end what we're doing with the merged artwork, but all the details are in the description. All right, I think we can start the artworks. Yes.
Brilliant.
So what we're doing is we're doing a theme called Thankful Together. So this is my part. I'll be drawing my characters, Ava and Ramona, and Whacko Chacko will be doing his characters, his elements on his side. And then we will merge the artworks together at the end. So this theme, I really wanted it to be very, fall inspired, also like Thanksgiving. So yeah. All right. So,
Yes.
Ashwin, I am really curious. I love seeing all of your artworks, on your website. And I'm curious how your passion for art sparked and, how that art journey led you to, be who you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So, as far back as I can remember, I've always drawn. In fact, my mother retells the story of me at the age of 5 or 6 asking her if I could draw for a living. At the
Mhm.
time, growing up in India, it seemed like an impossibility. But now, 28 years, 3 countries, and 3 kids later, I can finally say, woohoo, I draw for a living. So I've always been passionate about art. I just never knew how to turn it into a career, at least when I was growing up. It was a long and winding road to get to the place I am today. But, it was a process of learning, of making mistakes. And eventually, 10 years after I went into the journey, working, studying animation, working in graphic design and advertisement as an art director, I finally made it as a full-time illustrator.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I love your journey as well. And you do like so many things in terms of art as well. You're like a book illustrator, a motivational speaker. You even have a podcast called, Fruitful Life. So yeah, it's really exciting what you're doing. And your, art style, you call it positively playful, right? I love
Yeah.
how I love how distinctive it is. How did you develop that style? Did you always love, this type of like geometrical artwork, or did you explore like different types of art styles in your journey?
Yeah, I think style is something that comes over time. It comes with experience and comes with your personality. And so I feel like I didn't really find my full style until 2020, when the world paused and um, I had some time to really think about, why do I do what I do and what do I hope to achieve? 2019, I'd finally become this full time illustrator, and I'd spent so many years pursuing the idea of becoming an illustrator that when I actually became an illustrator, the question then was, okay, what do I do with myself? How do I want to be an illustrator? And so this time of, introspection, of diving deep and asking myself some really tough questions allowed me to figure out what my purpose in life was. And so my purpose was to bring joy and encouragement, and then combining that with my personality, my purpose, my inspiration. A style
Mhm.
started to emerge because a style is the bridge between who we are and what we want to say. And so because I knew with clarity that I wanted, my message was around joy and encouragement, then the characters, the colors, all the palette that started to stem from that place. And anytime I'm in doubt, I go back to that position of asking myself, okay, what is my deeper why and how do I build from that? And so as far as like the development of the style, if you look down the years of my Instagram, you will see the different stages at which I was experimenting with different styles, giving myself challenges to figure out techniques, different art forms. And this was sort of like a combination of lots of techniques that I'd learned and put together. So the chunky shapes kind of came from my love of screen printing. I used to do
Mhm.
I used to screen print my own t-shirts. And with screen prints, a lot of the fine detail work gets lost if it's not done right. And so I started merging to do larger shapes and playing with shapes and colors and how they interact with each other. And so the combination of that with bright colors, because I live in Ireland, which is can be quite gray, um, especially during the winter months, and I miss the sun. So lots of yellows and reds, and then obviously the greens of Ireland. So the combination of all three sort of like came together. So
Yeah, I definitely see that in your artwork. You've explored so many like different mediums as well. I see a lot of like your digital artworks. This is what his artworks looked like, and I love seeing the process as well. I love it.
yeah, thanks.
When
I
did you
think
start?
this is Sorry, I was
Oh,
just saying, this is something that like illustrators always get caught up in is, finding your style. But I think your style finds you as you develop as a person, as you get clarity around the type of work you want to create. The better you understand who you want to serve, who your tribe's going to be, the easier it is going to be for you to find the style because the message is going to be clear, and then you're going to attract the right audience for you.
yeah. What themes like I your artworks have like many different themes as well. Um and it's very positive. I think it makes a big impact as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a very conscious decision, especially during COVID, where everything was quite negative. We had a lot of negative media, and
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I have access to the internet, to the world. Why not put a bit of positivity into the world instead of more negatively? Let's use this technology to our advantage for something better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love how
And I
your
think
art.
like
Oh, oh, I love
sorry, I
how
was
your.
just gonna mention.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think it's really interesting as artists. I feel like our role is to to be the shapers of culture.
Hmm.
If you look back at any period of time in history, how was culture defined? It was defined by the artist. Like if I were to say Renaissance, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
I think of a lot of like, sculptures, very detailed portraits. That's
Yeah.
what I think. Yeah.
And so, like art basically pops into your head, some form of art. You say Baroque, you think buildings, so
Yeah.
each period is defined by the arts. So, same with our period. And we are the ones who get to define what our culture looks like through the art that we create, through the campaigns we design.
Yeah. That's so true. All right. So with your like, with your portfolio, you've done, ad campaigns, children's books. How do you keep like a unique voice across like all of those projects, especially when you're like working with big brands like Coca-Cola? How do you like keep that unique voice in your art breaks?
So, I think building a personal brand is a very important part of
Mhm.
your artist journey. And there's two ways that you can approach this. Some illustrators choose to be like a Swiss Army knife where they have multiple styles, they have multiple ways and multiple clients. And that's sort of their approach. They're the jack of all trades, and they're hired to do sort of those sort of things. I
Mhm.
realized that I didn't want to be the jack of all trades. I wanted to build my career around my personality and my brand, and who I was, and my key why, And so that is how I approached it. So my style is built around my why, and
Mhm.
then because I have such a clear message, the brands that come to me specifically for my style, specifically for my outlook in the world. And so that is the way I maintain the consistency in the type of work I present to the world, while at the same time working with a diverse set of clients.
Mhm.
Does
Yeah,
that make
that's
sense?
awesome. Yeah, yeah, I totally understand. I love how you're doing the lettering for the Thankful Together part. I think it's really fun. Um, in like merging different fonts together. Awesome.
Thanks. I love your characters. They're really cute and quirky. Can you tell me
Yeah,
a little bit about the inspiration for your characters? Like what first inspired you to create Ava and Ramona, and what was the what
yeah,
was the thinking behind it?
yeah, like creating these characters, I feel like it comes really natural to me to create these characters first. And Ava and Ramona, they're like, I feel like my part of my personality as well. Like Ramona, she's more of like the bold side. She's the part that like, gives me the confidence. And then Ava, she's more of the calm, more creative one. So I feel like these two characters are kind of like representing who I am in a way. So that's
Yeah,
why I love to create these characters, and you'll see them in like all of my artworks as well. So yeah, I also have like a website for these two characters as well, where I created like a collection about these characters. So yeah, they're really special to me.
nice. And what were you inspired by that, sort of like pull these characters? Obviously your personality, but like when you
Mhm.
look back at how you've grown up, was there specific cartoons that inspired you, specific books? Was it people that you met? Like what are the things that like culminated for you to start developing these characters?
Yeah, I think watching so many like animated movies of different characters, you can kind of see like the similarity. Like it's very cartoony characters. So I watched a lot of like Disney movies, Pixar, um, and I still love those movies like Inside Out. There's a nostalgic one called Song of the Sea. So those type of movies I really love. And I think like that influence at a young age, influence to storytelling and a lot of characters. That's how I got inspired to create my characters, um and to have that sort of style as well. So in your childhood, how has the things you did or the movies you watched, how has your experiences like shaped your art?
Yeah, I grew up in the foothills of the Himalayas in an international boarding school. So I was surrounded by multiple cultures,
Yeah.
50 different cultures in my class alone. I mean, in my school, and then the mountainous landscape around me. So those are things that sort of feed into my work. My work tends to be quite multicultural, quite inclusive in its use of character, how I design characters, and then storytelling. Because I was quite an introverted kid when I was growing up. Books were
Yeah.
my best friends. So I have always loved stories. And so the fact that I have the opportunity to now tell stories myself through my picture books has been like a dream come true. I was able to combine the two things I love most, drawing and storytelling, into one um, into a job I can do and get paid for.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially like as a young kid, I felt like, artworks were how I could tell my stories as well. So seeing your books, they really reminded me of how I thought as a child as well. Like, when I was 12, I got your book, The Little Optimist, and I
Yeah.
loved reading, each page of that before bed. It made me really, inspired to see those artworks. And I know you have like a new book as well. I would love if you would share it.
Yeah, my new book is called Can, and Can is a book that I wrote for my youngest son who was struggling with his confidence. We are now in a world that is driven by instant gratification. That's like part of our culture, and we see that everybody around us is everything's happening instantly,
Yeah.
and what that is saying to our children, to people around, people who are growing up right now, is that if it doesn't come easy, if it doesn't happen instantly, then I'm inadequate, I can't do it, you know
Hmm.
versus the reality is, most of what we see is the tip of the iceberg. Like, social media is a good example of this. You
Yeah.
might see somebody in the height of their career and compare themselves to the start of your career, and that is an unequal comparison. It's not even possible. A lot of those people worked for 10, 20 years before they got to that position. And so this book is really just a very simple encouragement that you can do it with a little perseverance. So um, it's a fun book for 0 to 8 years old, and it's got really cool, fun typography and this cute character that is sort of like my brand character who I love drawing.
I love that so much. So everybody check out his book as well. I um I love the message behind your books. Like I feel like it applies to any age. I know you created it for your youngest son, but I really want to read that book now. So yeah.
You are more than welcome to.
And yeah, as an artist, I feel like it's about having, patience and, knowing that like there's a lot of, new things you could try, and there's still like you still have a, huge journey ahead of you. I feel like that's important to know as an artist, so we don't compare ourselves with others. Instead, it's like more
Yeah.
comparing yourself with who you were before, um, and going from there. So
Yeah, exactly.
what things have you learned in your art journey, or the challenges you came across as an artist?
Uh, Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges I ever faced was um, the idea of identity and art. You know,
Hmm.
as illustrators, a lot of the, or as artists, what easily happens is that we start connecting ourselves so personally with our art. So, for instance, if I got feedback about something that I had created and somebody criticized it, it felt like they were criticizing me because I was so interwoven with the art. And it was only when I learned to separate myself from my art that I was really able to thrive, because then I could take feedback and learn from it and grow. And so I think one of the key things is learning to separate yourself from your art,
Yeah.
and having an identity in something that is unshakable. And so for me, that is in my faith. I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, and that is my unshakable truth.
Mhm.
Um, that is my identity. So that means I am valuable before I ever do a piece of art. So my value doesn't change. And so the value of who you are should not be linked to something you do, but intrinsically belong to who you are. And making that separation can only make um, you a better person, because then you can learn from your mistakes, you can learn from everything around you. So that was like the first big lesson I learned. And the second one was around making mistakes. You know, throughout school, when you are going to school, you might hear your teachers say, you know, your the whole education system is telling you that if you fail, it's the end for you, right? You're doing
Yeah.
exams right now, and if you were to fail, they'll be like, "Oh, this is devastating. You might not get work," or things like that. And so, throughout your school career, you're taught that failing is bad. It's not a
Mhm.
good thing. Whereas in an artist's career, in creating art, failure is an important process, because it is only through iteration that we actually develop what we're wanting to make. You know,
Yeah.
same with invention. Anything creative, it takes innovation, it takes iteration in order to get there. And so, my big learning was don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah. I love that. It's so true. I I think as as an artist that, or like not even as an artist, as a creator, that's something important to learn as well. And trying different mediums or trying new things, while also focusing on what you love as well is really important. So yeah, I know you collaborated with a lot of brands as well. Is there like a brand that stood out to you, or like a very your first brand collaboration? Is there anything uh you want to share about that?
Um, I think
Like,
with brands. Sorry.
oh no, it's fine. You can keep going.
Um, I think I really enjoyed the Coca-Cola brief because it's quite an open brief. And when brands come to you and trust you to do what you do best, it's probably the the nicest feeling, because it's a mutual thing, and nobody is sitting over your shoulder saying, you know, create this, do that. So that was quite a liberating project to work on. It was uh, it had great visibility. It was nice to see a digital thing become a huge physical thing. It was nice to see my work get animated by an animation studio. So all those combination of things was really great to see how it turned out in the end.
Wow, awesome! I love how you can see like the different mediums as well, like in animation, digital, and then you can see it in physical. It's amazing. All right. Oh, I love how your artwork is coming together. I love seeing the art process behind, like, an artist as well. Uh, so yeah. What's your like favorite brushes on Procreate that you use?
Uh, there is this like comic set I got when Procreate first started. I'm not sure who I got it from,
Mhm.
but that's basically that, and then the calligraphy brush. These are my two go-to brushes when it comes to Procreate.
Awesome. Yeah, for my artworks, I like to keep them in like a favorite folder. I usually use dry ink a lot for line art so I can have like texture. If I'm filling like big spaces, then syrup is, the way to go for me. And, I love using a lot of like texture in my artwork. So the Spectra brush, this is kind of what it looks like. So you can get like a gradient. I
Nice.
also use turpentine. I've used this like sometimes, like in my Ava Ramona verse artwork. I used it in like the background to create like a painting effect. So, yeah, I love how in Procreate there's a bunch of different brushes to create many different like techniques or effects.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
So, do you do traditional art as well as digital art?
yeah.
What was your art journey evolution?
Yeah, I usually do digital art as, the final artworks, but I always start out my ideas and my sketches in physical art. So like on paper in a sketchbook. And I like trying, new mediums. Um, yeah, so I like trying new mediums like marker, and I recently started acrylic painting as well. So, yeah.
Oh, cool.
In my sketchbook, this was Posca, by the way, on the paper. So in my sketchbook, that's kind of like the treasure chest, I guess, of inspiration, of ideas, different art, trying different mediums as well. So yeah. Also, I do
Nice.
try to use like different colors, and play with like portrait study, things like that. So yeah, even though my artwork, like final digital artwork, is like cartoony, I like to try everything else on the back end. So I feel like that's how it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
for artists.
Yeah, I think we all we learn from the process of trial and
Mm,
error, you know. So
yeah.
it's an important part of building your own brand and building your style.
Mhm. What are some mediums that you are really excited to try or been wanting to try, or some tools that you've been wanting to do?
Um,
It's kind of
I
hard to
think I
think of.
would love to do like letterpress stuff.
Mhm.
That's something that I haven't tried yet that I'd be like really interested in
Yeah,
testing out.
yeah, that seems cool. I've been wanting to try like animation or 3D. That it takes a lot of patience and it does take a lot of work, but I really want to try that soon.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I studied animation, and I realized that I don't have the patience for it. So I ended up not doing anything with animation.
Yeah, it's fine. It's really cool that you studied animation though.
I think it helped a lot with how I create characters and sort of give them quite a. Um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of dynamism or dynamics in the
Yeah.
movement and the motion of my work, and I think that comes from having studied animation and always thinking about how things move.
Yeah, I tried Procreate Dreams as well, and I'm still learning how to do it. Um, but I like animating my artwork a little bit, making it more dynamic. So I really want to learn more about how to use it properly. So yeah.
Funny with that, like I picked up Animate Dreams and then I ended up doing nothing with it. So one of these days I'm gonna have to play with it and sort of figure it out. So if you figure it out, you're gonna have to give me lessons on how to
Yeah.
use it.
I know you have like a natural, talent for storytelling as well. Did you, do you have any techniques when it comes to, writing stories, or how is that process for you when you write stories?
That is definitely the harder process. Is has been learning how to be a better storyteller, and I
Hmm.
think the key thing that I've picked up so far with storytelling is to kind of create a need or a want for your character, like a deep desire that the character has, and then throughout the story, your your job as the writer is to sort of like throw as many objections or problems that the character then has to overcome in order to achieve their dream, their deep desire, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I'm, trying to write like a, graphic novel or like a comic novel about my characters, and that is definitely one of the hardest parts, creating that story. It does take a lot of time as well, so I would love to learn like, how to, structure the story with you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of trial and error um, with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I am no expert in it. I'm still learning as I go, and I think that's the big thing is like having uh, if you can have someone safe that you can share your work with, that you could feed off of, that makes a huge difference. Like so somebody who is your contemporary that you can both feed off each other makes a big difference on how you approach things.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Oh, I love the colors that you're using for your artwork.
thank you.
So, like, I feel like to artists, another important thing is like to stay connected to people or collaborating with others as well. So, what's your advice in like, finding the confidence to collaborate with others, or, finding your voice? Do you have any advice about that?
Um, I think collaboration is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big thing is not going in there and just asking for something
Yeah.
without giving. So figure out how you can help them first before you start asking somebody to do things for you.
Yeah.
Um, then I think it's also like if it's something that is mutually beneficial for both of you, it
Mhm.
obviously has a lot more impact on both parties, and so thinking like that makes a big difference.
Yeah. All right, this is how mine's going so far. I'm on like the coloring part of it of Ava and Ramona, and I really want to capture a very colorful style, just like your color palette as well. So yeah,
Looking good.
yeah. Thank you. And also, like in the digital world, what's your like advice for standing out in the digital world, um, or like another I think better question is, how do you think the digital world is affecting the art world, like the new tech that's happening or the AI, and how it's affecting artists.
Um, I think the key thing with any new technology is, there are going to be changes, and it's okay that there are changes in the digital world. If you think about it, digital art in itself was a revolution as far as its approach to traditional art.
Mhm.
Initially when it came out, there was a big like fuss about, oh, that's not real art because it's digital, but now it's become like standard part of industry. I think with AI, there will be some things like that. The big concern for me is obviously around copyright, but I think those things are going to come into place soon enough.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not worried about it because I think as illustrators, as creators, I am hired for how I think,
Mhm.
not how I create alone. And so it's the combination of these things that actually creates um, is why I'm hired. So AI cannot think how I think.
Mhm.
Um, it can't generate ideas. It can create an output based on an idea that is given, but it can't generate an idea itself. And so, as long as you are uniquely creating your own work and your own ideas, I don't think you have anything to worry about on the AI front.
Yeah, I feel like with artists, um, what we have to, offer, or like, I think it's, important to, be unique from, other artists as well. Um, to have a unique voice from others, or, what's important about you. Uh, if that makes
Yes.
sense. I don't know if that made sense, but you
Yeah,
get what.
100%. Yeah, I think you're right in the sense that it's about embracing who you are,
Mhm.
your personality, your message to the world, and not chasing after trends.
Yeah.
Because once you begin chasing a trend, you've already lost because it's like a train that is leaving the station. You're already behind in the trend if you're chasing it. And so by the time you get onto it, uh, it's left the station and nobody's really doing that anymore. Whereas if you build your personality, if you build your style around who you are, um, your unique message, then nobody can really argue with that because there's no two versions of Teresa. Only you are you. And if they come to you for your personality, for what you create, then you have no competition because there's only one of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. All right. Now I'm like adding more design to my artwork. I'm using the brush like dry ink to do it. So yeah. About your color palette, did you do you always have like a set color palette when you create an artwork, or like is it like instantaneous? You know what to what colors to use.
I have like a basic palette. If you look at my screen, these are some palettes that I've created, and I tend to use similar tones of like oranges,
Hmm.
pink, blue, and yellow. Yellow always features in my artwork. And so it's just finding complementary colors that work
Yeah.
together. Um, Depending on the project, some projects I'm very specific about using a very limited color palette.
Hmm.
Um, and this is really to challenge myself to, like, what can I do with these colors? So if you really want to learn um, how to understand color,
Hmm.
um, create these challenges for yourself. So I'd be like, okay, I'm limited to a three color palette and black
Yeah.
and white. What can I do with that? Or a two color palette. How
Yeah.
far can I push the artwork within those constraints? And I
Mhm.
think, creativity really thrives within a border of constraints. That's when you get really, really creative. If you are given an open brief where it's like anything can happen, I think
Mhm.
that's where illustrator or where creatives struggle, because then there's too much going on, and you have like, I don't even know where to start. There's too many factors to that play into it. And so for yourself, when you're creating art for yourself, create a brief for yourself. Um, that will ensure that you end up being more creative, and that it matches the sort of like career you want to build for yourself.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I love that idea. I think sometimes, like, as an artist, like, you don't know where to start with something, or that,
Yeah.
you have a lot of ideas, but then when you go on paper, like, you don't know, how to get those ideas on paper. Um, so having like those limitations, I think it really challenges you to, think out of the box for it. So yeah, with the colors, I don't really have like a color palette. I kind of just like, go for like, the color, but I want to learn about, color theory, and how I can balance out the colors as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think the better you understand color theory, um, the nicer your palettes are going to be, and it'll start coming naturally. You won't really have to think about it as um, it comes through.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I'm just doing the shading for the artwork. Ooh, I love the gradient you did that. It's so cool.
I'm just separating the typography layer from the character layers so that they have their own layers and they're easy to play around with, move
Awesome.
around as I work.
Oh yeah, I know you won the Ann Post Book of the Year award. Could you tell like me more about what that was?
So the on post book of the year is well, it's children's book of the year. So
Mhm.
basically, it's an Irish book award for all the books in Ireland. And so my book that I illustrated, it was a collection of poetry. It's called "I Am the Wind." So it's a collection of Irish poems for children everywhere. It's got like 112 illustrations, maybe. So it's like fully illustrated. It's by contemporary and classic illustrators. I mean, poets. So lots of beautiful poems and artwork to go with it. And so this book basically won the the
Yeah,
children's book category for the senior children's book. And
yeah,
then
congratulations.
of all the categories, then this book, along with two or three other books from different categories, was nominated for the book of the year. And so the book of the year then um, a crime novel won, but
Hmm.
the fact that it got nominated was a big deal for us here.
How was that's amazing. Like congratulations on that. How was your like mindset when, you realized that, it got awarded that title?
It was really gratifying, like a lot of times when you're creating work for so long, uh, uh, you might get into your own head and be like, oh, is it really that good? Like, am I really thriving? And this was sort of like an acknowledgement that things are working out well, which
Yeah,
was a nice way to end the year.
that's awesome. Oh, when did you start digital art actually? Like, when did you, how long has it been?
I started drawing digitally probably from 2009.
Oh,
It was
wow.
part of my animation course, so we had to do both, um, you know, traditional as well as digital. So
Hmm.
at the time, I was using um, Photoshop,
Hmm.
and I was using uh, Wacom bamboo tablet. So that would have been like probably one of the first innovations in drawings, and it was really annoying because you
Oh,
couldn't see your artwork. You had to look up at the screen, and your hand was working down here, but you were looking at a screen as you drew. And
yeah.
so that's what it started on. And then with the invention of the iPad, um, with the drawing feature and Procreate and things like that, I quickly, as soon as that came in, it made such a huge difference because my production went from, it became 80% faster basically. Because
Hmm.
suddenly, like, I could see the screen, I didn't have to like draw physically, then scan it, then redraw it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, in 2009, like when you started, that was like the year I was born. So I'm like, I couldn't believe it. It was fun.
That's wild.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just like doing the shading on my art right now. So this is Ramona. Do you have any like characters, like specific characters when it comes to your art? I know I've like seen that character. It's awesome. Do you
Yeah,
have any?
I haven't figured out what to call him yet. Like, I use him all the time. I guess
Mhm.
because it's a representation of myself in various forms. Um, I never thought about like what it's called. Maybe it's
Mhm.
called Mini Chaco. But yeah, I have other characters like I have Indy and Ivor. It's a tiger and a frog. I was making it like a mini comic series on it. So these are some of the sketches. I don't know if you can see that, but
Oh, I love that
that's Indy
character.
and Ivor.
Oh, it's
They
kind
they
of the
have
same.
like kind of philosophical chats about life, and it's a fun character to play with.
Yeah, I love that. I would definitely read that book.
It's not a book yet. It's sort of like sort of an exploration.
Hmm.
So like for a couple of months, I challenged myself uh, to kind of create a strip. Like, imagine if I had to work for a newspaper and I had to create like the Sunday strip every Sunday. So I did it for like 2 months where I sort of did a strip every every day.
Hmm.
Um, not 2 months, like a month and a half maybe, where
Yeah,
I created a strip. And the challenge of writing the characters, writing the punchline, that was an interesting challenge, quite hard to do. I need to get back to it again,
mhm.
because I think that's something that I still need to develop. But it was quite an enjoyable process of learning.
I love that idea. Oh, all right. I would love to see your artwork right now. Ooh, that's awesome. Wow, it's really coming together. Yeah, I know like there's like still like a lot to do, but yeah, I love how your artwork is going. And yeah, I think I'm almost finished with mine. I think we can start the rapid fire questions. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited. So, who would be your dream collaboration anywhere in the world?
Oh, well, I would love to do like a full-on Nike capsule collection, where like it's a one-off clothing drop, shoes, clothes, everything. That would be a really
Yeah.
awesome collection. So Nike, if you ever hear this, hit me up. I'd love to.
Yeah. So, digital or physical art? What's your go-to?
Oof. So for commercial stuff, definitely digital 100% off the time. Um, when it comes to like chilling out and hanging out and just doing stuff for fun, I do love to paint. It's very relaxing for me to
Yeah.
just kick back and paint something fun.
Yeah, I get that. Like, it's really hard to pick between like digital or physical art for me. All right. Are you more of a sunrise sketcher or a midnight doodler? That's kind of like saying, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Uh, Night owl, definitely.
Hmm.
I can't even think about drawing first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning is coffee, but I do enjoy watching the sunrise or sunset.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like the biggest ideas like I get when I'm like almost about to go to sleep, which is like
Yeah, I know.
crazy.
I know that feeling. Oh man, you're like
What's
just about to fall asleep. It's like, oh, that's a great idea, and then I'm like, crap, I need to get up and like write this down, otherwise I'm gonna forget it as soon as I wake up.
I get that all the time. What's your biggest like pet peeve as an artist?
Oh, pet peeve. Um, I don't know if I have a pet peeve. What's
For me,
yours?
when it comes to digital art, whenever like, I get my iPad, like I have a great idea and then I get my iPad and it's like at 0%, that always
All
gets me.
right.
Yeah. And I'm like, I thought I charged this. That's a digital art like pet peeve, I guess. Yeah. Do you have any? It's
Um,
like on the spot, but I know there are a lot. Yeah. So
I can't think of it anything right now per se.
so what's your if you weren't creating right now, what would you be doing? Your favorite hobbies?
I do love to watch movies. I might be watching a movie, or I might be writing something or drawing
Yeah.
something else. You know, I do like to build a discipline of drawing every day if possible. That's what keeps me sharp. That's what keeps me going. So I think that's an important part of my practice.
Yeah. Drawing every day is like an important thing for more practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what was like the weirdest place you've caught like creative spark or like, you've wanted to draw?
Um,
Or like if that kind of
Weirdest.
think
Sorry, say that again. You.
or like we could go for another question. What's your favorite color combo right now?
Oh, definitely yellow
Mhm.
and orange and green.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, I think we can it's almost like heading to, 5 here. So like I think we can wrap it
Okay.
up. And I love
Yeah.
how our artworks came along, and I'm really excited to merge these two artworks together. So you know, this space, like in my artwork, that's where Ashwin's artwork will go. So we can see that. Ooh, I love it. I'm really excited to merge these two together. So for everyone who was, has been here the whole time, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it's been such a fun, time with you, talking to you. You're really like an inspiration to me. Like I can learn so much from you, and I think there's more to it than just like this session. So yeah, if anyone wants to see more of his artworks, make sure you follow him. Make sure you follow him at Whacko Chacko on Instagram, and check out his website at whackochacko.com. There's so much cool stuff over there. So yeah. And if you're not following me, you can connect with me on Instagram at Teresa Melvin Art. And we'd love to connect with you there. And also about the collaboration artwork, we will be launching our artwork as a notebook. A notebook on the hug.xyz. So this is an example of one of my previous notebooks that I did with my artwork. Um, so after the live, pretty soon we're going to be launching our merged artwork on the hug platform. So all details of that will be in the description. So everybody go check it out. And all right, Ashwin, do you have any like last words?
No, thank you so much for having me. It was lots of fun to kind of draw with you, and uh, I'm sure you're an inspiration to lots of young people out there, showing them that they can build a career out of art, especially,
Thank
you know. So thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun. Uh, does anybody in the audience have any questions? If not, we're good to go.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm really excited that you're on my live. And if anybody wants to see, if you're excited for, the rest of art and chat, there's a lot of like other artists that I'm really excited to, have the live with as well. So, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates on art and chat and for more artist collabs. So yeah. So until next time, bye everybody. Keep creating and
Bye.
fired, and we'll catch you in the next art and chat. Bye. And thanks, Ashwin.
Bye. No worries. See ya.